Morning. Another day, another real world test. Today we're doing it on the Sony Xperia 5. And if you're not familiar, I'm going to basically go around my normal day. We're going to check in on the battery throughout the entire day. I'm going to take photos of this and some of its competitors, put those up on the screen so you guys can kind of see how it compares to other devices. And we'll see how it does. Real quick, let's check in on the battery because I took this thing off a while ago, about like 8 o'clock in the morning. It's already 11:36 and we are at 87%. Now, first things first, coffee. Coffee, check. The first thing I want to talk about with this phone is just the way it feels. I don't understand why, but it feels really like nice. It feels premium for some reason. It's something to do with maybe the glass that they're using, but I think the bigger part is the 21:9 aspect ratio. There's something about that it fits really well in your hand. It feels almost skinny, at least width-wise, and then it just has a very tall screen, which I have to admit I kind of like. Okay, had to pick up a package real quick from my WeWork. And now I'm back in my apartment. I'm gonna get a little bit of work done. In case you can't tell, I'm doing a router video. You're excited, I can tell. Real quick though, while we're here, let's check in on the battery. It is 1:48 p.m. We are at 67%. Okay, and I think after I get a little bit of work done here, we're gonna head to the new studio, which is coming along nicely, I have to say. Studio. It's a work in progress. If you don't already know, there's me and 4 other YouTubers that you might know that I'll talk about in a second that all kind of decided to just get together and split the cost on a filming studio, essentially. And so that's what this is. It's a pretty raw space though. So it's a bit of a work in progress. It's gonna take us a bit, in case you couldn't tell by the cleaning supplies that I bought to try to, we're gonna have to clean this place a bit. But let me show you around real quick. Okay, so this right now is my desk. I need to get like a bookshelf, something in the wall, blah, blah, blah. If you couldn't tell, this little area here, and by little I mean giant area, by all the little spaceship looking nerdy things, this is Mr. Mobile's, Michael Fisher. So that's where he's gonna be. And then just a desk so far, but MJ from Gadget Match will be there. And then we have David Amell from Android Authority will be somewhere in there when he gets his stuff in here. And then Jaime from Pocket Now will be here. And then that's kind of our space. And then we need to fill all of this with, well, stuff. There you go. Like I said, bit of a work in progress. But enough about this room. Let's talk a little bit more about the phone. Firstly, something I love about this phone is that it is essentially running the Pixel launcher, so it's a very stock-like Android experience, and thanks to that, coupled with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 chipset inside here, it's actually really smooth. Something else that surprised me a bit about the phone in a good way and a bad way is the attention to the camera. Now frankly, from the company that makes the camera that I'm currently filming on, you'd expect them to do some things with the camera on their phone. At least in some ways, they have. Firstly, there is a dedicated camera shutter button that, when half pressed, focuses like a real camera does. And it does a pretty quick job, actually. It kind of makes me want to have more phones with real shutter buttons. I also appreciate that they put an ultra wide, a standard, and a telephoto lens all on this phone, as it does give you so many more options for framing photos and videos. Something less exciting to me is that there seems to be an AI assistant that we've seen other manufacturers put on their phones. But unlike those other manufacturers, there isn't a way to turn it off, at least none that I could find on the phone after digging for quite a while. And one last thing they added camera-wise, which I just think is interesting and I'm not really sure yet if I like it or not, is that they added an app to shoot more purposeful video on the phone called Cinema Pro. Now the idea here is that it's meant to mimic a bit of what you would see while using Sony's flagship $45,000 6K cinema camera called the Venice. They even added what essentially are LUTs into this app to give you the same look as the Venice. It shoots in 21:9 only with frame guides that help you do 16:9 and other aspect ratios if you want. And there's a way to automatically pull focus, record in HDR and H.265 with various frame rates, etc., etc. Kinda neat, I guess. Okay, let's get out of here, but real quick, let's check on the battery as we do. It is 5:21 p.m. It's already dark outside, which is depressing, but we are at 22%. Hello.
Hi, hello.
How are you? Thank you. Okay, well, made it to a wine bar to have a drink with my father here, and I was going to take more photos on this phone and do, test night mode and all that fun stuff, but it turns out that it is 6:47 p.m. and we're already at 2%. On top of that, the phone won't even let me take a photo if I try. So this concludes the battery portion of this video. My dad was kind enough to bring me a power bank. I'm gonna charge this up and then we'll test the night mode after the fact. Also, here is my screen on time and all my other usage so you can see what killed it. Okay, something a little interesting about the battery dying that quickly is that I've been using this phone for a few weeks now, and well, here's my screen on time and my usage for one of the other days last week. It just happens that today it did not do well, but on that day it did fantastic. I'm not really sure what happened here. If you look at those screen on times, I mean, you can see that I actually had more screen on time before than I did this time. The only thing I really see is that maybe the camera and the Venice app that I was using, Cinema Pro, I used those a lot more today than I did in those days, so maybe that has something to do with it. Either way, this is a real world test. This is what happened in the real world. This is what happened today, so I gotta put it up. You guys can draw your own conclusions based on my old screen on time and my usage versus today's. Okay, now regardless of what happened with battery life today, there are some interesting points about this phone. Sony is one of those brands that just has a lot of brand equity. Like, most people know Sony, they like Sony, but when they think of that, they think of like the cameras, like the one I'm using now, and the microphone that I'm using to talk to you, the TVs that they make, a bunch of their other products. They don't necessarily think of mobile. And suffice it to say that that has a lot to do with the fact that the mobile department just wasn't doing the best job of putting out the best phones that they possibly could at the price point that Sony just will not deviate from. The thing that's interesting about this phone and the Xperia 1, its sister phone, is the fact that for the first time ever, Sony has taken that mobile department, got rid of that PR company, and moved that mobile department internally. So they're now sitting in the same building as the camera guys, the TV guys, the cinema guys, etc. And so you can kind of see that in these two phones, which I believe are the first two to come out since that happened, they're trying to incorporate a lot of those features, like the Venice app, like a really nice display that this device has, and the even better display of the Xperia 1. And the phones are just, they feel a lot better than the ones that I've used from Sony in the recent years. Now, regardless of all that, as much as I can't necessarily recommend this phone at the price that this sells for, if it was a lot cheaper, maybe, but it does at least do one thing for me, and that's that it gives me hope. It gives me hope that Sony now is at least back on the right path, and we might get that Sony flagship phone that we all really, really want to see. There, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this phone, of this video, how I can improve them. I would always like to hear from you guys, as you know. Also, I left a link down below to check out this phone for the best price that I could find it for, and to find out more information on it as well if you're interested. Also, I just started a new series here on YouTube. I made a pilot for it. You can click that here and check that out. It's called Decoder, and it's where I break down a new piece of technology every week so that we can all better understand it. But go check that out. Please let me know in the comments on that video what you think. If you think I should keep doing the series, I would like to try to do it weekly. That would be the goal, but let me know what you guys think, if I should even do it in the first place. And then also let me know other things you'd like me to decode in the comments there as well. Regardless though, as always, thanks for watching.